Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. It's actually a pretty momentous film. It's the first time we've had a fully original animated Looney Tunes movie. Now, before you go on my comments, I thought there were other ones. What happened? Those are compilation movies of various shorts with sort of wraparound things around them, which is still fine to see, Looney Tunes in theaters. That's amazing. But this is fully original, written as a motion picture, animated the whole time, no real people in it. Looney Tunes movie is the first time this has ever happened. I thought it was a big deal, not just a big deal for animation, but a big deal for film in general, because it was like never happened before, and it was exciting and it was different because this is something they have not done before, and I was very excited to see this. It is sort of one thing people are sort of talking about, but not really. This is absolutely a sort of spin-off of the Looney Tunes cartoons that are on Max. It's so much so that when they were making those, they asked Pete Browngardt, who made this also, who directed this also, if he would want to make a feature film version of the Looney Tunes, and this is what he chose. So to me, this is sort of like another from the makers of that, which I like those quite a bit, actually, comes this. Although it obviously is very influenced by classic Looney Tunes, as those shorts are as well. I got to take my kids, which was a lot of fun. Our theater was actually not empty. I see a lot of things about that. It was pretty full of families and a lot of goofy dads, or dads you can tell who are into Looney Tunes taking people. I saw moms taking people too, but I will say that the goofy dad quota was high. It both feels exactly what you would want from a Looney Tunes movie to be after all these years. They very much get the characters and what they're influenced by, even pick certain directors and influences that influence this one specifically, and the various shorts as well. But they understand these cartoons and these characters very well, and you can tell that watching the short as much as they got them. Like, it was the surprise with I think it's called something like Looney Tunes Cartoons instead of just Looney Tunes or something like that on Max. That feels exactly, with a lot of love and care, but also a real understanding of the characters, and you get that in this. But it's also, this is so unprecedented. It feels not like a short. It's a different thing, and that might feel odd. And when I was watching, I was like, this isn't like a short. But we've never really seen a short with these characters or Looney Tunes before, so having any sort of context to base this on, we just don't really have that. So you kind of have to go with it, but if you let go, you will see all the beautiful traditional animation and everything like that going on the big screen, and it's just very hard not to get wrapped up and not have fun with this movie. This is about Daffy and Porky, who in this grew up together from little babies, being brought up by Farmer Jim, who a lady in the theater, when I saw it, said I look like Farmer Jim. I'm going to take that as a compliment, I guess. I was kind of like, okay. Hey, apparently I look like Farmer Jim. My name is Jim. I have a beard. Might as well go with it, I guess. I don't know. I guess I do. I think it's a compliment. Anyway, they are raised by Farmer Jim, and then they grow up, they have the same house, although it's not a farm anymore, it's a suburban area, which I'm kind of wondering if he sold it or they had to sell it, or didn't really get into that. Anyway, they realize they need jobs after their roof is destroyed by an alien asteroid, and when their roof they takes a while to get a job, and then they get a job at a bubblegum factory, which is a big company in their town. They discover there is an alien plot to use the gum to take over everyone's minds, and Daffy and Porky and Petunia, who's also there as a taste expert, who, it's really funny how she only likes original things and she hates like reboots and retreads. I was like, I like that Petunia in this is like, not only like is she into gum, but she's like very into gum. Like, I actually like that about it. But they are going to go and hopefully stop this alien plot to take over the world. I have to say, the one thing about the alien plot is that I've seen so many of the alien things. The aliens are going to take over the world. I get it. The aliens are bad. It's cool. I'm not for aliens taking over the world, but so many times in this movie, they have like, the mothership, and then you destroy the mothership, and then all the ships fall out of the sky. It's like an easy fix. And like, it's usually something like that. I'm assuming that's because Independence Day did it. I forget, I'm sure there's like another version. But like, I've seen too many times. In this, it's like gum takes people over, and that's at least funny and silly, and you can do something with it. It feels like so many times we see the other ones is like this bland like thing we've seen a million times, and it's like a thread, a plot thread, or a plot it's basically a plot thread we've seen a million times, but done like a fun kid way where it didn't feel like, as I didn't have to explain the stupid gum thing. It's just like you did after the movie they got it, it was fun, and then you moved on. I like that they found a silly way to do that. They really deserve a lot of credit for that. I will say, and I've heard this from people, I've seen a few Looney Tunes on the big screen, not as many as I would like. Seeing this kind of animation, this kind of traditional animation on the big screen was so awe-inspiring and beautiful, and like I was really in love with watching it. I was like, I kind of almost felt like this was an overwhelming experience because I was kind of into just watching the animation so much. And it felt like something like oh cool, I get to actually appreciate this. This is amazing. It was very well animated. It reminded me of like the really well done traditional animation of something like maybe like Green Eggs and Ham, the bit of that I saw, or like something. It's like people who are like really fine-tuned at what they're doing, and the group of people who wrote this, and Green Brown Garden, all those people are so good at understanding animation. They're very smart people about that kind of thing, and like you can very much tell they know how to use the frame, they know how to use movement in animation, they know how to mess with things, they know how to play a joke at a certain time. It is honestly amazing. And then mess with that, like Farmer Jim doesn't really move that well, but it's like a joke into itself. I heard some comparisons to Ren and Stimpy and John K and all that stuff. I don't actually think, and unless someone can contradict me here, and I'm sure a lot of these guys grew up with Ren and Stimpy, but I think it's more of the case of two things being influenced by the same person, and you missing a step there. I honestly think like Bob Clampett and Tex Avery and like all the classic animation directors that influence this cartoon is also what influenced Ren and Stimpy. Is not necessarily that they are influenced by Ren and Stimpy, or at least that's in my mind. I think the early Ren and Stimpy is influenced by classic Looney Tunes, a lot of stuff, but that as well, and I think you can see those in there. In my mind, that was really what's going on here. Not because Ren and Stimpy's weird now and stuff, just because if you really think about it, that way makes far more sense, especially the newer Looney Tunes, but it still can be weird and funny. And I liked the part where they're supposed to get a job and they like turned it into a little short within the movie, which I thought was really funny. I do think, like I said this in my Dogman review, well, here's the thing. Here, I mentioned this thing in my Dogman review, and my kids and I saw Dogman together, and we saw this. And my daughter said this is just the same as Dogman quality-wise. But I think what's different about Dogman than this is you are comparing it to the shorts. Like that's an easy comparison. That's what you're going to compare it to. I don't think that's a stupid thing necessarily. But you do, like what I was saying is like I realize as a viewer, stop doing that, because this is not a good comparison. It's its own thing. I think what's great about Looney Tunes is it will have a random thing and a random craziness and stuff like that. That's still in here, but they try to like hone it within a story and a script, and I think that's a larger challenge that they had to come up with. And so if you're wondering why they don't have like a crazy deviation suddenly and then go back to it as much as they're known for in the Looney Tunes, and even in the newer Looney Tunes as well, I will say, I don't think get too disappointed by stuff like that, because it's just like they're really, I think it's like taking those kind of characters, like Daffy is still insanely goofy and silly and weird, and there's still weird parts and funny parts and all that stuff. It doesn't feel as quick and random as those shorts, but it still feels very much those characters. But I think like comparing it doesn't work as well. I think something like Dogman, you're not as used to that world and that context, or at least for me. And I feel like this is like you have so much context to fight. It's all like this film is doing like a huge accomplishment and a big thing that this brand and these characters and Looney Tunes in general haven't done. So it's like, to me also, it's like unfair to review this on a first viewing. I almost want to watch this a few more times and like sit with it, and how do we feel about this in a year or something. It's kind of how I feel about it, because it's just like, it was, I have my kids there, like I'm seeing this thing, someone compared me to Farmer Jim. Obviously that was traumatic, but like there's a lot going on there, and like it did find it a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. But I did note while I was watching, it was like, stop with the short stuff, because like this is not a short. It's a different thing. And much how like you see any filmmaker, you see them make a ton of shorts and you see them make their feature films, it's sort of different, and thus what happened here. So I don't think it's a fair comparison, and I think acting like it's not as random and as weird as sometimes those can get to the same frequency is kind of like not understanding that they're sort of different mediums almost, shorts and features. I would say, I know that it's not any different formats or whatever, but it's like not a fair thing to compare necessarily in my mind. But I think Eric Bauza does an amazing job. He's playing both Porky and Daffy, and they're doing a great job. He is like the great voice actor of his generation. Like, he's doing a great job with Daffy and Porky, really being able to balance both and do great performances both. Candy Milo plays Petunia Pig. You actually have Peter McNichol, everyone's favorite character from Sophie's Choice, I guess, playing the main alien, and he was pretty good. Lorraine Newman plays a smaller character, and Wayne Knight's barely in it, but it was kind of cool seeing a few people there. I actually didn't notice it was Peter McNichol until later. I'm sure when I rewatch it, which I definitely will, I will feel differently about that. This is a very solid kids film, to the point that it like almost feels effortless when you know there's a lot of work that went into it. And I really gotta hand it to them. I thought this was like probably one of the better tightly made animated comedies I've seen in a long time. I really, really like this movie quite a bit. I think they did a good job, and not just because of the history setting, precedent setting, all that stuff. Like, they showed, like, I think this is similar to what Joe Dante did with Looney Tunes Back in Action, because he went, no, this is how you make a Looney Tunes movie. And I think this, this comparing it to the Space Jams isn't fair, because those aren't that good, and this is. But this and Back in Action, I think, are very sort of different things and stuff. But it's also, I've seen Back in Action a few times. I haven't seen this as many times, but I think they both understand the craziness to Looney Tunes, but in both they're trying to be respectful, but also understand how do you take characters who are just in 6-minute, 7-minute bursts into a feature film. And I thought they did a good job, tying Porky and Daffy together as siblings. Like, there are a lot of good jokes, like even like why Porky has his like stutter, to like, there's one joke where they describe who's trying to save the world and they show pictures of everyone, and my kids thought that was funny. I know this wasn't released by Warner's, it was released by Ketchup Entertainment, which my daughter noticed and kept going like, why is it called Ketchup? Ketchup? That's not a name to put out a movie. Ketchup? And I was like, wow, calm it down. They put the movie out. It's ironic that like Warner's doesn't want to release this, because this is, I think, is it like the first feature film spin-off from a Max series ever? I think that might be, unless I'm forgetting something. I love this movie. I think it's a great, fun Looney Tunes film. If you love Looney Tunes your whole life, you should absolutely see this. Understand that it is different, and come in with an open mind. Don't have all your like animation baggage on this, man. It's like it's not that I'm being soft, it's that you're being too hard on it, and expect that this is really good. They did a great job with the backgrounds, they did a great job with the animation. It's very solid kind of thing, and I'm glad that they're the people using it. And there's not, Bugs is not in this, not to ruin it for you. No, there's no Taz or anybody else's cameos. It's just Porky, Daffy, and Petunia, and that's it for those characters, unless like somebody's in the background or something. I thought it was an amazing movie. I really quite liked it a lot, and I thought it showed like what was so special about both Daffy and Porky, but also showed what was so special about the Looney Tunes and how you can bring them to a feature film. I am curious to think about this later. Maybe we won't feel as high on it. Maybe I'm just like happy to have, one of the things that people liked, like why those compilation films did well, is because people like seeing Looney Tunes on the big screen. As much as Looney Tunes, like, its whole life of being, I tell people this, its whole, and it's true, its whole life of being on television is repurposing from theaters. Like, this stuff was made to be in theaters, Like, it's not supposed to be on every Saturday. I mean, it is now because it's a tradition, but, like, originally these were not made for that. These were made to be on the big screen. This is a big screen, 2D, traditionally animated Looney Tunes that fully understands what that means in using the frame and everything, and it's kind of awe-inspiring to see them able to return and do it so well and do like a really tight family comedy. We've had a very wacky animated comedy run right now, which we don't normally have it this good with those two, but man, it's been a lot of fun. And I don't want to get into too many jokes I know nobody has, because you probably don't want to hear me go, and then there is this one, this is funny and that's funny. But it just has so many jokes, so many fun things going on within it. The Day the Earth Blew Up is as much a part of Looney Tunes, and just like the Looney Tunes cartoons that it's a spin-off of, it understands the legacy, it's continuing the legacy, but also using that legacy to make something new and fun. I think it'll be really hard to not like The Day the Earth Blew Up. So if you've seen The Day the Earth Blew Up and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.